What if the freedom we cherish is merely a well-crafted illusion? You wake up, choose your clothes, pick your breakfast, decide your commute, scroll through infinite content. It may feel like freedom, but beneath this daily dance of decisions lies something deeper, something far more constraining. The modern world has perfected a system of invisible chains, rules so ingrained, norms so internalized, that we rarely question them. They tell us we're free because we can vote, consume, express. But can we truly express ourselves if we've never stepped outside the boundaries of what's been deemed acceptable? Friedrich Nietzsche warned us, society doesn't merely suppress, it seduces. It offers comfort in exchange for compliance, identity in exchange for obedience, and calls that arrangement freedom. In this video, we'll explore Nietzsche's brutal but illuminating critique of societal freedom. We'll look at how morality, culture, and social systems quietly condition us to follow rather than lead, to conform rather than create. You'll see how the will to power has been diluted into the will to please, and how reclaiming true freedom requires a radical break from the norm. Welcome to a journey that will challenge not only your worldview, but the very foundation of your autonomy. The mind is a labyrinth. Let's walk its shadows together. We're told that we're free. Free to speak, free to vote, free to live how we choose. But this promise of freedom is built on a paradox. If everyone is free, why do so few live authentically? Why does so much of modern life feel like a performance choreographed by someone else? To Nietzsche, freedom was not about rights or options. It was about power. Not political power, but existential power. The power to become who you truly are, not who the world demands you to be. And by that definition, very few are actually free. In fact, most are trapped in what Nietzsche called the herd, a collective that values obedience over originality and comfort over courage. Society offers a menu of identities, citizen, worker, partner, consumer, and tells us we can choose. But these roles are prepackaged. Selecting from them isn't freedom, it's customization within a cage. When all choices lead back to conformity, are we really choosing at all? Nietzsche observed that most people mistake the absence of visible chains for true liberation. We think we are free because we are not directly coerced. But real control doesn't need whips and shackles. It works best when we believe we're acting freely, when we internalize rules so deeply that we become our own jailers. Consider the modern workplace. You choose your job, but often under pressure from debt, social expectations, or fear of irrelevance. You choose how to dress, but within a rigid matrix of trends and taboos. You choose your words, carefully, but typically under the invisible gaze of public judgment. Every decision may feel like your own, but every option has been subtly vetted by culture before it even reaches you. This is the genius of modern power. It gives us 1,000 ways to feel free while keeping us in line. Instead of forcing us to conform, it teaches us to want conformity. We learn to police our thoughts, suppress our impulses, and align with collective norms. Not out of fear, but out of habit. Nietzsche believed this illusion was far more dangerous than overt tyranny. A dictator can be resisted. A system that convinces you to love your own submission? That's nearly unbreakable. And this illusion is reinforced by moral language. We're taught that the good person is cooperative, selfless, obedient. These values sound noble, but Nietzsche saw them as tools of social domestication. He argued that morality, as it's commonly taught, doesn't liberate, it pacifies. It rewards compliance, not courage. Underneath it all, Nietzsche posed a terrifying question. What if freedom, as we know it, is just another myth? What if we've mistaken comfort for autonomy and structure for sovereignty? If that's true, then real freedom doesn't come from society. It comes in defiance of it. To be free is not to be unchained from responsibility. It is to confront the world's expectations and say, no, I will not play this part. I'll write my own. If you're liking this video, please like and subscribe now. It helps the channel to grow. Thanks for your support. Not all values are born equal. Some rise from strength, others from weakness, masquerading as virtue. Nietzsche called this dichotomy master morality and slave morality. And understanding it is key to unraveling why society's version of freedom is anything but liberating. Master morality, according to Nietzsche, is the morality of the strong. It originates from individuals who affirm their power, instincts, and desires without shame. Good, in this context, is what enhances life: nobility, courage, creativity, dominance. Evil, conversely, is weakness, cowardice, or conformity. But most of us are not taught this framework. Instead, we are steeped in what Nietzsche called slave morality, a value system created by the powerless, not to rise above their station, but to rationalize their subjugation. In this inverted morality, strength becomes evil, and weakness becomes good. Humility, obedience, meekness, and suffering are glorified, not because they lead to growth, but because they make servitude feel righteous. This shift didn't happen overnight. It was a slow psychological revolt. Those who lacked power, influence, or nobility began to demonize those who had it. The wealthy became greedy. The brave became cruel. The assertive became arrogant. And in doing so, the masses constructed a moral system that favored the very traits that ensured their continued submission. What does this have to do with freedom? Everything. Slave morality doesn't just constrain actions, it shapes identity. It teaches you that certain ambitions are selfish, that seeking power is immoral, that standing apart is dangerous. It implants guilt into the very idea of being different. And once guilt is internalized, you no longer need to be forced into conformity. You'll do it yourself. This moral coding begins early. From childhood, we are taught to share, to yield, to ask for permission. To be a good child is to suppress your will. Later, to be a good adult is to accept systems, play roles, and never ask if the game itself is rigged. We're trained to see rebellion as deviance, individuality as arrogance, and nonconformity as a threat. Slave morality also thrives on resentment, a festering resentment turned inward and outward. Those who follow this moral code don't just obey, they secretly loathe those who don't. The self-made, the bold, the unapologetically different are targets of scorn, not because they've done wrong, but because they reveal what the masses have been too afraid to attempt. In this way, freedom becomes suspect. The truly free person, the one who answers to no one but their inner law, becomes an object of fear. Society calls them dangerous, deluded, or mad. But Nietzsche would argue they are simply unchained. Slave morality doesn't aim to uplift the individual. It aims to make all individuals equal in limitation. It levels the playing field by lowering the height of the human spirit. This is the trap. You are not just told what to do, you're told what to value. And if you adopt those values uncritically, you will build a prison inside your own mind. To escape, Nietzsche insists, you must learn to revalue all values, to trace their origins, test their purposes, and decide whether they serve your flourishing or your obedience. Because freedom doesn't begin when the world lets go of you. It begins when you let go of the world. What if the most effective prison had no bars, no guards, no locks, except the ones inside your own mind? Nietzsche understood that society no longer needs brute force to maintain control. It only needs one thing, your belief in the system. And so the chains we wear are no longer wrapped around our wrists. They're woven into our habits, our thoughts, our very sense of self. This is the age of internalized control, and it's far more efficient than tyranny. In traditional authoritarian systems, control is visible. Soldiers, surveillance, punishment, all blunt instruments designed to suppress. But in modern society, power has gone subtle. It no longer shouts, it whispers, it seduces. It makes you believe that you're free, even as you follow the exact path laid out for you. Nietzsche would recognize this phenomenon as the next evolution of herd morality. We've been conditioned to self-regulate, to curate our behavior in accordance with what's expected, what's polite, what's normal. We smile when we want to scream. We nod when we want to rebel. We play roles we didn't choose, for rewards we don't believe in. And this performance is everywhere. At work, we present a version of ourselves tailored for approval. We speak in corporate dialects, suppress personal opinions, and package our personalities like products. Online, we polish our lives into fragments of curated joy, always striving for the perfect algorithm-friendly version of ourselves. Even in intimate spaces, we censor our thoughts. We choose not to say what we really feel, out of fear of judgment, cancellation, alienation. We become actors in our own lives, forgetting the difference between mask and face. This is not freedom. This is compliance through self-deception. Michel Foucault would later describe this dynamic as the panopticon, a metaphorical prison where the prisoner doesn't know if they're being watched, so they act as if they are at all times. The brilliance of the panopticon is that it doesn't require an authority figure. The subject becomes their own watcher, and the same is true for us. We internalize society's gaze. We carry it into our bedrooms, our journals, our dreams. We don't need to be punished. We punish ourselves for deviating from invisible norms. Nietzsche saw this kind of existence as spiritual decay. To live authentically, he believed, we must confront the reality that much of what we call freedom is just well-rehearsed obedience, a carefully orchestrated dance performed in the name of civility, morality, and professionalism. And yet, we cling to it. Why? Because authenticity is dangerous. It strips away the safety net of consensus. It isolates. It demands that we walk alone, without applause, without reassurance. But Nietzsche insisted that this lonely path is the only one that leads to real freedom, a freedom that comes not from being accepted, but from being unapologetically yourself. There's a cost to this, of course. The performer is rewarded, the rebel is punished, but only one of them is free. So ask yourself, who is making the choices in your life? You, or the version of you performing for an invisible audience? And if you stopped performing, who would you become? Beneath all our decisions, Nietzsche believed, lies a singular driving force, the will to power, the primal creative urge to grow, to assert, to become. It is not about domination over others, but mastery of the self. The will to power is the heartbeat of genuine freedom, pulsing quietly beneath those rare lives lived with intent, not imitation. But in the modern world, this force is often buried, replaced, muted. In its place grows something far more familiar, the will to please. The will to please is not about self-overcoming. It is about self-erasure. It is the compulsion to be accepted, to conform, to mirror the values of the crowd. It's not a desire to live. It's a desire to be liked. And it is one of the most insidious forms of control. Consider the subtle ways this manifests. You feel a creative impulse, an idea, a vision, a rebellion against the norm. But before it can take shape, you wonder, will this offend someone? Will they understand me? Will I still be liked? That moment of hesitation is the death knell of the will to power. You are no longer acting from your center. You are bending to the invisible. Society trains us in this bending from an early age. We are taught to seek validation, gold stars, approval, likes, promotions. We are rewarded for obedience dressed as excellence. The bolder your truth, the more pressure you feel to dilute it. And so, most of us live lives of quiet compromise, chasing applause instead of actualization. Nietzsche saw this as spiritual malnutrition, a withering of the human will under the weight of collective opinion. To him, the highest human being, the Übermensch, was not someone who obeyed norms, but someone who created new ones, someone who turned their life into a work of art, someone who acted not from fear or conformity, but from the sheer force of their own becoming. But this path is dangerous, because to live by the will to power is to refuse to be controllable. It is to be misunderstood, condemned. It is to walk against the grain, sometimes alone, sometimes hated, but always awake. In contrast, the will to please ensures comfort, but guarantees stagnation. It's the path of the socially accepted but spiritually hollow. It's where dreams go to die, in exchange for a quiet, polite applause from people who barely know you. We often think of freedom as the absence of oppression, but Nietzsche reminds us, true freedom is the presence of power, the kind of power that comes from daring to speak your truth, act without permission, and shape a world that reflects your values. This isn't arrogance, it's responsibility, because when you stop living to please, you begin living to create. And what you create, if it is truly yours, can awaken others. So the question is not, how can I be accepted? The question is, what am I willing to risk in order to become who I am? If freedom is an illusion, then the only path forward is to break it, shatter it, and begin again. But how? Nietzsche's answer was as brutal as it was liberating. Become who you are, not who your parents wanted, not who your culture expected, not who your fear settled for, but the raw, unfiltered expression of your becoming, a being forged by fire, not sculpted by approval. Escaping the illusion of freedom begins with a violent honesty, a willingness to look at the architecture of your life and ask, what have I chosen? And what was chosen for me? You begin to trace your values back to their origin, not to understand them, but to judge them. Are they life-affirming or life-denying? Do they ignite your will to power or pacify it? This is what Nietzsche meant by the revaluation of all values, the radical process of discarding inherited truths in order to create your own. It's not about nihilism, it's about courage. The courage to live without the safety of mass agreement. The courage to stand, even if standing means standing alone. But this kind of rebirth requires death. Not literal death, but the symbolic death of the false self, the performer, the pleaser, the part of you that was carefully molded to be acceptable. You must let that version of you die, publicly, privately, painfully, so that something real can take its place. Nietzsche's Übermensch isn't a superhero. He's a human being who has passed through this crucible. Someone who doesn't ask, what should I do? But what can I create? Someone who doesn't seek truth as a fixed doctrine, but as a personal forge, where every action, every decision, hammers identity into shape. This isn't an escape in the traditional sense. You don't run from the system, you transcend it. You don't reject the world, you outgrow it. That may sound impossible, and for many it will be. The pull of comfort is strong. The praise of others is addictive. The gravity of the herd is real. But if you've made it this far, if these ideas resonate in your bones rather than just your intellect, then you already feel the fracture forming. The separation beginning. Escaping the illusion of freedom is not about leaving society behind. It's about no longer being ruled by it. Living in the world, but not under it. Participating, but never performing. You stop asking who you're supposed to be and start becoming who you are. Again and again, without apology, without pause. Because in a world full of mirrors, to stand as yourself is the greatest act of rebellion. Freedom, as sold to us, is a polished fiction. a dream wrapped in rules, conditioned by fear, and sealed with approval. But Nietzsche's philosophy tears through that illusion like a blade. He reminds us that freedom is not given, it is taken. It is carved out of the raw material of selfhood through struggle, defiance, and relentless honesty. The world will always try to define you before you define yourself. It will offer safety instead of sovereignty, applause instead of authenticity. But if you have the will to confront that, if you are willing to burn the script and write your own, you will find something rare. Not the freedom to blend in, but the power to stand alone. Thank you for walking this path with me tonight. Until next time, keep your mind sharp and your will sharper. Freedom is not given, it is forged.